Grayson. This is Grayson Strong. Check out the backs. Ripped abs.
Sometimes I think pain is just a lack of understanding. If we could only understand. Sometimes I
Oh, look at the real definition. One more time. Biceps. They're only 6 years old. 6.5, weighing in at a mean, lean 48 pounds. One more time on the chest muscles before his head pops off. Spam W's! Let's go! If you're still breathing, you're still alive. If you're still breathing, every single problem in your life could be solved. It just takes time and dedication and push-ups. Yo, we gotta reset this push-up counter. That's from yesterday. We back at 0 today. Cause every day you start at 0, little big boy. How we doing, chat? All right, I'm streaming live from the best country in America. The best country in America, Texas, baby. Where you guys from? Everyone send it in the chat below. How we doing? Umi said it. If you're still breathing, you're still alive. Come on. Send it in the chat below. How we doing? Umi said it. If you're still breathing, you're still alive. Come on. All right, let me get my freaking mic fixed. What the frick is happening? And I wonder if you know what it means. And I wonder your dreams come true. Alright, we got Big W. Cosmo Doug is from the UK. We got Freezone from Germany. We got Chesarwar from Pakistan. We got Gamura from the Maldives. Oh my gosh. Marim is from North Korea here. We got Turkey in the chat. Can we get that pinky dance going? Can we get that pinky dance going in a freaking chat? Oh my gosh. We got Algeria, we got Saudi, we got Buttercup from Scotland. Hey, fuck Buttercup, sorry. Hey, we got Kabil. Hanifa's from Jupiter. Hey, we got Osama from Canada, Manar from Egypt. We got Perry the Platypus. I don't know where Perry's from, but he doesn't want to say. We got Hanifa from Jupiter. Afet is from Fatland. Afet, what the heck? That's not where you should be, and you don't belong there. Alright, we got Hero from Oman. What's Oman? Habibi, come to Dubai! Hey Habibi, come to Dubai! Let me go lock my door so the feds don't come in. Find your dreams come true. And I wonder if you know what it means to find your dreams come true. And I'm back on my grind. One sec, y'all. I'm finna put on my spicy shoes in this beat. Hey, we're gonna go from white boy to athlete real quick. You know what I'm saying? Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Today we're gonna learn something new. If you still breathing, there is no problems because all your problems have the potential to be solved as long as you're still breathing. And if you're not breathing, you are about to enter the next stage of life, which I have not yet experienced, or maybe I have. What if we're all the same person? What if we're all the same spirit and we're all one, but we just keep living each other's lives over and time isn't real? Like, what if, wow, this life is a test. It's just one big test. Oh my gosh. What is Oman? I do not know Oman. Habibi, come to Algeria. Hey, we got Umi in the chat. Umi, thank you. All right, again, welcome to the only stream where free speech is available in the chat. This is the only place you can find it. We have a few moderators in the chat. We got Umi. I don't know if Latifah's here, but we got Umi. Can we get some Umi W's in the chat? The moderators are only supposed to ban or mute someone that is spamming in the chat. Otherwise, you can say whatever you want.
I would ask that you only say genuine comments that you actually believe, unless you're joking or whatnot. But that being said, you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, because I can say whatever I want, and you can say whatever you want, because God gave us each our own mouth, our own eyes, our own ears, and we can decipher what is good and what is haram. So that's up for you. You know what I'm saying? Wait. What the frick? But the heck was that? Anyways, y'all, it's a good day to be alive. I'm streaming live from Texas. My name is Grayson Brock. It's currently 1:11 p.m., aka 13:11 in the afternoon. I got in a workout this morning. I'm that guy. Did some burpees, did some runs with two of my friends, and we got swole. If you haven't worked out today, you better be. You got to work out every single day, because you never know. You never know when you're going to need to defend yourself against the enemies. More importantly, make sure your mind is strong today. And remember, the most powerful thing you can say to yourself is no. If you have any addictions that you're trying to get over, remember, you can say no. You can say no to anyone. If someone asks you to hang out and you don't want to hang out, just say no. If someone asks you to do something and you don't want to do it, just say no. You can say no. That's the most powerful word that God has given us. Do 10 handstand push-ups. Are you serious right now, bro? No. Okay. Again, my name is Grayson Brock. I'm a 21-year-old kid from Texas. That's all I am. I'm a massive W, as they say. Some people claim I'm the smartest person in the world. Many people have been claiming that. Many people have been claiming that. And I have not really made a response video yet to all these accusations that I am the wisest man to ever live. But we'll see. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old. And this channel is dedicated to following my life and freely sharing my ideas. And I already can tell one day that the feds are probably going to come after me, and I'm probably going to have to move off YouTube. So I might be starting a Kick soon. A Kick, which is another platform to stream on, so that way I can say what I really think. Because right now I'm only kind of saying what I think. I'm saying what I think most of the time. But there's a little bit left. There's a little bit of truth that needs to come out. Okay, so today I'm going to continue doing 2 different live streams today. They're back to back though, so it's just one fluid stream, but you can see the next one is upcoming in about 2.5 hours. So for the next 2.5 hours, more or less, I'm going to be researching. I'm going to be reading this book, and this is the biography of the Prophet of Islam. And who is that guy? Apparently his name was Muhammad, and this is the guy who apparently received the Quran. Now, why do we care about this guy? Or why do I care? I care because I read the Quran for the first time, and I was like, yo, I believe this is what Moses was doing. I believe this is what Jesus was doing. I thought it was going to say that we should blow up every American. Turns out it's a religion of peace, and it's beautiful. Turns out. The entire religion can be summarized by the first page. It says, "In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Praise belongs to God, Lord of all worlds. The Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy, master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship. It is you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, those who incur no anger, and who have not gone astray." All right, y'all. Should I make some oatmeal and then start? Or should I just... Find your dreams come true. All right. Oatmeal. Yeah. Chat. Stay with me here. Actually, no. Frick the oatmeal. I'm not going to eat oatmeal yet. I'm just going to go make a coffee. 30 seconds, homies. 30 seconds. Find your dreams come true. I hope who is here is ready to learn. W if you're ready to learn. L if you're feeling lazy. But even if you're feeling lazy, don't say you're feeling lazy, because then you'll feel more lazy because you said you're feeling lazy. It's like me and my friend worked out today, and he was joking, but it became real. We were running, and he said, bro, by the way, his name is Brendan. Absolute G. My friend Brendan was like, I'm not tired. I never get tired. After we had run a bunch of sprints, right? So we're very physically tired. But the fact that he said, I'm not tired, I don't get tired. He was like, Grayson, are you tired? I said, no, I'm not tired. And I was tired. But as soon as I said, I'm not tired, I felt less tired. Mind over matter. God gives you words because the words become real. In the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, because the God is part of God. One of God's biggest tool that He's given us is the power to speak things into existence, to praise Him, to praise, spread love, to spread peace, to use our words to solve the issues that we have. Can I get an amen? All right, I'm gonna grab my coffee and let's start researching, okay? And then after I research for a few hours, I'll be doing another stream where I go on the Discord and I just talk about things, and I talk about, I do more interacting with you guys, but right now is going to be a study session after I calm down, because I'm just really excited to see you guys. So I'm a little high energy, and I recently was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolarism, as well as Himothy neutronism, and I've also been I just got diagnosed with toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is when you're strong. So I just got diagnosed with these 3 things, so keep that in mind at any point, and just be careful the words you say to me, because I've also have a history of being diagnosed with depression. So at any moment, I could just fall into a depressive state for the rest of my life. So please be nice, okay? Okay. I'll be right back. land, my boy. Psych! I can never be depressed! You know what cures depression? God! God did not create beings that could be in a permanent state of depression. That is a complete lie. That is a complete lie. The only way you can be depressed is if you don't do push-ups. If you do push-ups, you will never be depressed. Today I'm doing 100 push-ups as I always do on stream. So let's start it off. But let's start it off with something different. Someone told me earlier in the chat to do some handstand push-ups. So I'm going to do that. And then they'll start studying, alright? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right. Hafsa W. Okay. Also, how y'all like my cut? W or L? W or L cut? Yeah, yeah. Never knew he was a Yappuccino. Amin said it's aight. W, thanks to Perry. W cut, okay. Both L and W, okay. All right, yeah, let's get started. If anyone here is depressed, just remember it's not real, because if you believe in God, depression isn't real. Yo, am I balding? Yo, I'm balding. Just kidding, it's the sun. Okay. All right, so. Waiting to learn. You're right. Okay, sorry. I'm distracted. Okay, today, wait, one more thing. Set a timer for 47 minutes. 47-minute timer. If anyone sends any super chats, I will read them after. Please provide some good, interesting conversation and discussions to talk about. Again, my name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old. I'm streaming live from Texas. And this channel is dedicated to following my life, following what realizations I make about life, following my adventures, and most importantly, freely sharing my ideas. And you guys are open to freely sharing the ideas in the chat, because this channel is dedicated to freedom of speech. If you would like to directly support the stream, you can click the link in my bio or in the description, which is you can buy me a coffee. Help support the stream and helps make these happen, and upgrading the setup and stuff like this. I just got this new thing today, or not this week. All this is tools is just making me able. This one allows me to, like, if I click this, it does that. If I click that, if I need to mute, and then I can unmute it, and then I can break. Anyway, this kind of stuff helps me be able to stream more often, stream better, so you guys can enjoy and learn more. This channel is dedicated to learning during these streams, of course. So I'm gonna shut up and we're gonna start learning. Right now, this month, I'm researching the Islamic religion, and I've been doing so for more than just this month, but this next month and possibly the next 2 months specifically, I'm going to be dedicating nearly all of my stream time to doing this. After these 2 months, I might never make research. I might never do streams again where I'm just reading about Islam, or maybe I will, Because again, this channel is dedicated to following my life. And right now in my life, about 8 months ago, not 8 months ago, about 6 months ago, I was traveling and I decided to make a YouTube video and read the Quran for the first time and make a YouTube video out of it. So I read the Quran for the first time. I read it in one sitting and I felt really evil and I felt like I was sinning by touching the book and buying the Quran. Even though, keep in mind, I had no idea what was going to be in the Quran. I mean, no idea. I thought it was going to... I knew relative Islamic beliefs consisted of the ladies wear things over their head, and then you go to the Middle East and you walk around a box and you say Allah Al-Aqabah. And I remember when I was younger in my high school, me and my friends would run into the locker room when we were like freshmen and sophomores. So when we were 15, 14-year-old, we'd run in the locker room, and by the way, this is the type of indoctrination we get in the U.S. This is like a common joke. We would walk in the locker room and we would say, "Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar!" And everybody, that was the joke. That meant, I'm going to blow this place up. That's the type of indoctrination we've been given to the word Allah. Even though the word Allah just means God in another language. And Allah Akbar, I believe, means God is the greatest. So if you said to someone on the street here, Allah Akbar, they'd be like, "Oh shit!" But if you said, "God is the greatest," they'd be like, "Amen." So that just shows you how everything is just one big misunderstanding. Anyway, I read the Quran for the first time and I was like, wow, this is cutting through the bullshit for sure. And I've been interested in the Islamic religion. Turns out the word Islam just means someone who follows God, only submits to the will of God, and does not follow or pray to any other idols or any other deities, and only prays to the one and only God, the unseen God, the unknown, the cosmos, the universe, the God, the creator of all of this, the way above humans. That's who I believe God is. And I've been learning about the Islamic religion. Turns out it has nothing like what I thought it was, and it's all about only following God. And now I'm reading about the guy who not wrote the Quran, but who received the Quran, who's believed to have received the Quran from an angel. And the Quran basically just says, only follow me and don't follow anything else. And it gets rid of all the bullshit. I think following God, only submitting to the will of God, or that word in Arabic, Islam. I think Islam might be our only hope in us saving the universe and saving the earth and saving... There's just so much crazy BS going on in the world, and this to me has been an answer from God. The words inside of this book have been an answer from God, and basically saying, it felt like it said to me, Grayson, there is a path, there is something to follow. Because as a Christian, my whole life researching Christianity and looking into the Bible, I learned a lot about how to be a loving person, but I didn't really know how to act out in real life. Where does a Christian standpoint on abortion? Where is a Christian standpoint on LGBTQ? Where is a Christian standpoint on feminism? Where is the Christian standpoint from all of this? It can be debated. It can be debated. However, in the Islamic religion, there is little room to debate for most things, and it's just kind of clear cut. Yes, no, halal, haram. Can you be transgender? Or you can do whatever you want. But is that against God? Yes, haram. In Christianity, it's like, most Christians would be like, well... No, most of them would probably say, no, that's completely against God. I don't want to speak for 2 billion Christians. But there's always room for debate, and what's interested me in this is like, haram, good, bad, haram. It's like God wants men to be men in Islam and women to be women, which I think is solving all the world's problems. And it makes sense because it's the only monotheistic, I believe it's the only monotheistic religion left. There's literally a Christian Baptist church outside of my window. I'm like 20 floors up right now in an apartment. But there is a Christian church that has gay pride flags outside of it. And on the sign, I don't know if you guys saw that short that I made. There's literally signs that say, the sign on the church, it says Christian University Baptist Church, and under it says Queer Bible Studies at 11 o'clock. I believe the whole reason that Christianity isn't standing as firm as, for example, Islam is because Christianity is Islam and then added some things on top of it, which has now diluted the entire message of Islam, which Islam, that word simply means someone who only submits to the will of God. That's where I'm standing with all of this. I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand the context. But if you don't understand the context, just know this. I'm 21 years old and I'm here to learn more. I'm here to learn new things. I'm never afraid to read a book that people say not to read. I'm never afraid to research things myself. And the more things I research myself, the more I realize how much I've assumed that I don't know. So, if you don't understand, I hope that understands the context of me researching the only monotheistic religion left in the world. But again, if you just joined right this second, just know my name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old and I'm here to learn something new, and I'm glad you're here with me, and I hope we can all learn something new. Can I get an amen? Okay. Oh my gosh, I got 38 minutes left in I gotta reset the timer. 45-minute timer. Let's begin. Okay. Grayson, how do you eat right here? Because you took. Oh yeah. And my favorite word is Habibi. So far in the book of the Prophet of Islam, I've learned that before Muhammad has arrived, meaning on the earth, before he was born, idolatry was widespread in the Arabian Peninsula, which is present-day Saudi Arabia, near Egypt, the Middle East, the desert, present-day Saudi Arabia, and there was a lot going on around the Kaaba, a lot of idolatry going on around the Kaaba, and the Kaaba was, according to this book, was basically a place to worship the only the only God in the world, the creator of the universe. The Kaaba was built as a place of worship for the monotheistic God. And it was built 4,000 years ago from today. 2,000 years later, Jesus is believed to have lived. 500-ish years later, a guy named Muhammad was born. And this is his biography of his life. And that's what I've learned so far. Let's see where we are today. And then I read about Muhammad's... Yesterday I read about Muhammad's... his early-ish life when he began to... he was in a cave and he saw an angel of God came to him somehow. And he was afraid, and he began to tell people of the message of Islam, and his family and community, people began to try and stop him, and it made a lot of people upset. That's one theme that I've gotten. He used to frequently spend several days and nights until the revelation came to him. He was then 40. He stayed in Hira cave a month or so every year. So definitely some solitude. He had the first revelation. Then he probably had some more first people to follow. In the Bible it says a prophet is only without honor in his hometown. Jesus said that, according to the Bible. And Muhammad's kin and his family is like, yo, this dude is capping. They try to claim that he's a magician. They try to claim that he's crazy. They try to do all things. They threatened him. His tribe stopped. The first action the Quraish, which are his family's tribe that ran Mecca, I believe, took to the Prophet's uncle. So they went to the Prophet's uncle and were like, bro, you need to restrain your nephew. This dude's gone crazy. And he said, I am no more capable of giving up this mission than you are capable of stealing a flame from the sun. So Muhammad basically gave them the 1-2 Mayweather, because they went to Muhammad and they were like, you need to stop spreading this message of only following one God. And he was like, sorry, brother, I am not capable of giving up on this mission. Essentially, I'm the only way for me to give up is like you trying to take a flame from the sun. It's impossible. I can't give up. I know the truth. So they spread lies that he had gone mad. He's called a magician by his own tribe of people. But surely messengers were mocked before him as well. Didn't the same thing? Kanye has a song where he's like, they did the same thing to Noah. Jesus Christ went to Yanni. They did the same thing to Noah. They did the same thing to Noah. They did the same thing to Noah. And apparently he split the moon. His tribe repeatedly tries to ruin him. I'm trying to figure out where I left off yesterday. Alright, so follow along with me. Let's read. His tribe repeatedly tried to ruin him. This is where I left off, more or less, yesterday. They did the same thing to Noah. Bukhari has reported Urwa Uban saying, I asked Abdullah bin Umar about the worst that the pagans did to the Prophet. He answered, I saw Abu going up. So this is about the Prophet being persecuted. I did 10 already. I got to do 100 push-ups today, so let's continue. So what is the worst thing that happened to the Prophet? He threw his cloak around his neck and began to pull hard. Abu Bakr happened to come in. He shoved the man away. He pleaded, Do you want to kill man for saying Allah is his Lord while he has also brought you signs from his Lord? Bukhari and Muslim also recorded Ibn Masud as narrating. Once Abu Jahl happened to be sitting by while the Prophet was praying in the Holy Mosque. A camel's intestine slaughtered the day earlier was lying by. Abu Jahl said, Who volunteers to place the intestine on the Prophet's shoulders while he is in prostration? In response, the worst of their men got up and placed the intestines on the Prophet's shoulder while his forehead was on the ground. Everyone laughed so much that some had to lean on others. Everyone laughed so much that some had to lean on others. I was there watching all that. Had I someone in my support, I would have removed the thing from the Prophet's back. In the meanwhile, the Prophet remained in prostration, not raising his head, until someone ran to Fatima and informed her. She was a little girl then, bigger than a child. She came along with Juwayah. She removed the intestines, turned to them, and cursed them. When the Prophet had finished, he invoked Allah's destruction on them in a loud voice. And I tell you, I saw those he named that day fallen at Badr, their corpses dragged by their feet and hurled into a pit. So the Prophet Muhammad, people put intestines on him while he was praying in the Kaaba. According to this. Can you all believe that? They put intestines on him. The chat donation is not... The chat is not updating, so I will not be able to see you guys. Unless I get on my phone, which I'm not. Currently, I have 36 minutes left in this session. They put intestines on him while he was trying to pray. Everyone laughed so much that some had to lean on others. This is just proof that when you follow God, people are going to make fun of you, but it has no effect on God. There is nothing wrong with being persecuted for following God, or at least it's happened to nearly every single prophet in all of the holy books. Ibn Hajar said, Abu Yala Bazar have reported through a Sahih chain ending with Anas, who said, once they beat up the Prophet until he went blank. Abu Bakr got up and began crying out words, woe unto you men, will you kill a man for saying his Lord is Allah? So they let him go and began to beat Abu Bakr. Abu Lahab's son, Utaybah, also committed aggression against the Prophet. So this section of the book is all about people just hating on Prophet Muhammad. He tore his shirt and spat on his face, except that his spittle did not reach the Prophet's face. The Prophet supplicated then and there, O Allah, set one of your dogs upon this man. His supplication was answered. Utaybah was torn to pieces by forest beasts when he was in Zarqa and Sham. Allah also shielded him from Jamil, Arwa or Alwa Harb's daughter, Abu Safan's sister and wife of Lab, when she attempted to throw a rock at him. This is reported by Bahaki and Isdalai through a few weak reports that strengthen each other. She used to place thorns in his path as alluded to by the Quran in the chapter titled Al-Masad. This is the preferred explanation of the verse. Ahmad has reported that the Quraish gathered together in the Hijr area of Haram. They swore in the name of their deities, Lat, Uzza, Manat, Nahala, and Asaf, that if they saw Muhammad, they would rise up as one body and strike him dead, so they're promising to kill him. Fatima informed the Prophet, Fatima in the chat, of their resolve. He came up with a handful of dust. W's. Whoever it struck was found slaughtered at Badr. Ahmad has also received a nas that one night Jibril visited the Prophet. He found him bleeding and sad. Some Makkans had beaten him up. Jibril said, what happened? The Prophet answered that so-and-so had beaten him up. Jibril asked him, do you want me to show you a sign from your Lord? The Prophet said, yes. Jibril looked at a tree at the far end of the valley and said, beckon that tree. The Prophet beckoned it. It came and stood before him. Jibril said, order it to go back. He ordered it to return, and it complied. The Prophet said, that's enough for me. Ibn Kathir's opinion is that most of the physical assaults that he suffered happened only after the death of his uncle, Abu Talib. Abu Bakr too received his own share of physical tortures until he decided that he would go away to Abyssinia. One day, Abu Bakr stood up and addressed some people in the holy house. The pagans beat him blue and left bruises on his body. Of those who beat him, Utbah bin Rabi'ah was one. He hit him so hard in the face that with his shoes that those who saw him couldn't make out between the nose and the mouth. Banu Tam came in aid of Abu Bakr. Who is Abu Bakr? Close companion and father-in-law of the Islamic Prophet Muhammad. It's his best friend? Banu Hashim came in aid of Abu Bakr, and so the Quraysh abandoned him. His tribesmen carried him off in a cloak to his house. They thought he was dead and swore that if he died, they would kill Utua in retaliation. Muhammad is getting beaten up, and so are the people who even are with him. The first person to recite the Quran aloud in the Kaaba after the Prophet was Abdullah bin Masud. He did it despite being warned of dangerous consequences. So when he attempted it, they hit him in the face. When his companions reminded him of their warning, saying they had feared this, he replied, "These enemies of Allah were never more pitiful in my sight than before. If you wish, I could repeat this tomorrow." They said, "No, this is enough. You have forced them to hear what they are unwilling to hear." Uthman bin Affan's uncle would wrap him up in mat made from palm leaves and then smoke him. It is said that when he embraced Islam, his uncle Hakam bin Abu as-Sinamah caught him and tied him up, swearing that he would not release him until he had forsaken his new religion. It's not new, though. So Uthman also swore that he would never give up his religion, but it's new to Mecca. When his uncle saw his firmness in his religion, he abandoned him. When Musab's mother learned of her son's Islam, she starved him and then threw him out of the house. He was one of those who had been brought up in luxuries. He dried up until his friends carried him on bows because of his weakness. They also attempted to punish Umar bin Khattab when he embraced Islam. Ultimately, they tried to kill him, but the attempt failed because Allah saved him at the hands of Hassan bin Walid. Uthman bin Mazun was also one of those who were tortured. When he returned from his first migration journey to Abyssinia, he was taken in protection by Walid bin Muqarrab. But when he saw how others were being tortured, he rejected his protection. Labid bin Rabai, is the poet, visited Makkah. He recited his poetry in Quraysh assembly. So Uthman took the liberty to reply. An argument ensued, and the man boxed Uthman so hard that one of his eyes was blackened. So this section is about people who are following Islam just getting beaten up in the Kaaba and stuff. When Walid bin Mughir saw him in this state, he said, "My nephew, you could have saved I the trouble if you had remained in my protection." Uthman replied, "I am in the protection of the one who is more honorable and powerful than you are, O Abu Abid Shams." Walid said, "Take it easy. If you wish, you can come back to my protection." Similarly, Zubayr Aman was tortured by his uncle, who would tie up a mat to him and set it smoking, saying, "Abandon the new religion." Zubayr would reply, "I shall never do that." Abu Jahl locked up his own brother Salaman bin Hashim bin Mughayr when he returned from Abyssinian immigration. He also denied him food. Makkah, in fact, was not the only place where Muslims were tortured. Some of those who had embraced Islam from the desert tribes were meted out the same treatment. As recorded that when Shart Ghazayat bint embraced Islam along with her husband, and her husband migrated along with Abu and a few others, her husband's people came to her and asked her if she was on the religion of her husband. When she said yes, they swore that they would punish her. So whenever they traveled from one place to another, they put her on top of the wildest mount. When they would give her some bread and honey, but withhold water from her. Once they left her in the desert until she lost her sense. She could hardly hear or see. They repeated this for 3 days. On the third day, they again demanded that she give up her religion. She couldn't speak out anything because of what she was passing through. She only pointed her finger to the heaven, meaning one God. Then Allah sent her a bucket of water as a miracle. That became the reason for the Islam of her husband's people, all of whom chose to migrate to the Prophet. Abu Dar Ghanari is another case in point. When he entered into Makkah looking for the Prophet, he was beaten up by the Meccans so severely that he fainted. He would have all but died if Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib had not intervened. This next section is about torture of the slaves. The pagans let loose their utmost fury against the slaves because they had no one to protect them. They were subjected to the severest kind of tortures. These poor souls went through such harsh treatment that Allah allowed them to speak out disbelief if the pain went beyond endurance. Sa'ad bin Jubair asked Ibn Abbas if the torture inflicted by the pagans and the slaves had reached such level that they were allowed to say out what would help them escape. He replied, "Yes, very much so, by Allah. One of them was beaten up so hard kept hungry and thirsty for so long that he was unable to sit upright. In that state, they would say out whatever was asked of them. They'd be asked, 'Are Lad and Uzza deities besides Allah or not?' They'd say in reply, 'Yes, they are.' They said that only to escape further torture. Ibn Kathir has said that it is about those that Allah revealed in the Quran. Whoever disbelieved in Allah after his faith except one who was forced, although his heart is filled with faith. Such men are excused, but not someone who is quite at ease with disbelief. Upon such is all's anger, and then for them is such great punishment. So that was a verse, the context of a Quran verse. Ibn Masud said, the first 7 who announced their Islam were the Prophet, Abu Bakr, Umar, and his mother Sumayya, Sahab, Bilal, and Miqdad. As for the Prophet, he was protected by his uncle. As for Abu Bakr, his tribesmen prevented his torture. But for the rest, the pagans seized them. They made them wear a steel coat of arms and placed them in the sun. Then there wasn't one of them but who had given up they wanted the words except Allah. He showed no respect to his body in the way of Allah, and he showed no respect to his tortures. Finally, they handed him over to the Ukrainians, who dragged him around in the valleys of Makkah while he kept saying 1-1. Dragged him around with a rope on his neck. And he just kept saying 1-1. So when someone in this story couldn't speak, they were being tortured, and someone said, do you still believe in your God Allah? They just pointed to the heavens, meaning 1. And then this other person, so it says, as for the Prophet, he was protected by his uncle. As for Abu Bakr, his tribesmen prevented his torture. But for the rest, the pagans seized them. Damn. Finally, they handed him over to the... Oh, so Bilal. Is that the guy in the Message? I can't even read you, chat, but feel free to talk amongst yourself. Is Bilal the guy in the Message movie that gets beat? It said he kept saying 1-1. Bilal kept saying 1-1. That's the entire idea of the Islamic religion, is there's just one God. The Islam religion is the only monotheistic religion, because the word Islam just means you follow God with no other deities up equal to him. Kind of like Moses, who had received his first commandment that said, thou shalt put no other gods before me. And you can even see this as I'm reading this biography, because the first people, or some of the people during, 1400 years ago, who were being tortured for saying there's only one God, they would just walk around saying 1-1. It says Bilal was just kept saying 1-1. That's all it is. 1-1. That's all it is. 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yasser's family. Yes, sir. Hey, y'all know who Yes, sir is? Yes, sir. More like yes, sir. This family is cited as an example in history works of what people had to go through in defense of their faith. Banu Hashim would bring them out into the hot sun at noon and torture them there. Once the Prophet passed by them while they were undergoing tortures, he said, good news to you, O family of Yasser, your abode is in paradise. It was from this family that the first martyr in Islam emerged. It was Aman's mother, Sumayya bin Kahat, a woman. Abu Jahl threw at her a javelin that struck her under the navel, and she died on the spot. Yasser died due to tortures. His son Abdullah was hit with a weapon. He died too. Umar was kept in tortures until they forced him to speak out words of disbelief. Most commentators of the Quran are of opinion that the verse, whoever disbelieved in Allah after his faith except one who is forced but his heart is at rest with faith, was revealed in reference to Umar bin Yasser. So these are some of the... Wow. So these people are being martyred for their faith. But Christians were also martyred for their faith. I don't know. I'm just careful to to praise anyone martyred for their faith because I feel like people have been martyred for everything. I mean, respect anyone who's willing to stand something up until wouldn't God want you to not die? I don't know. Okay, so now this next part is about Bilal. Bilal was a slave of the Banu Juma. He was the son of Rabah. His mother was called Hamama. He was said to be an Abyssinian. Some say he was from Nubia. He was a man of pure heart and a true faith. His master would bring him out into the open at mid-afternoon, throw him on the ground, and place a rock on his chest. He would say, "You'll lie there and die, or deny Muhammad and come back to the worship of La Anusa." Bilal would reply, 1-1. Bilal would reply, 1-1. Yo, can we get some Bilal W's in the freaking chat? 1-1. Baladuri was a report of Ammar bin As. I saw Bilal being tortured in the desert. If a piece of meat was kept on him, it would have got fried. But Bilal was saying, "I deny La Anusa." That angered Umayyah. He went on increasing the torture until Bilal fell unconscious. They tied a rope around Bilal's neck and ordered the Ukrainians to drag him around in Meccan valleys. While dragged around, Bilal would only say 1-1. Buldiri also reports Bilal as having said, "Once they kept me thirsty for a day and night and then took me out on a hot day into the desert to torture me. When Abu Bakr saw him in the state, he bargained his price, bought him, and freed him." W. Ibn Abu Shayba and Baladuari have reported through trustworthy chain of narrators that Abu Bakr bought him for 50 pieces of silver while he lay buried under a heap of stones. Khabab bin Arat. His full name was... This is about another person. Feel free to do some research with me, guys. His name was Khabab bin Arat bin Jalal bin Sa'd bin... No. He was enslaved in the pre-Islamic days and sold out in Mecca, but they were conflicting reports. He specialized in sword making. He was one of the earliest to embrace Islam. As he embraced Islam, he encountered a variety of difficulties affecting his person and financial situation like several other weak Muslims. They pulled him by his hair, twisted his head hard, and placed him on hot rocks with stones, and making him unable to rise. Once they lit a fire and flung him onto it. It was his back that put that fire out. Long after he showed his burnt back to Umar bin Khattab, he also told them that they used to make him lie down on hot rocks, but despite all that, his tormentors got nothing out of him. When their torment became unbearable, Khabab and other weak Muslims complained to the Prophet. He was resting under the shadow of the Kaaba. They said to him, "Will you not help us? Will you not pray for us?" He replied, "There were men among the previous nations, for one of whom they dig a hole in the ground and bury him. They then bring a saw and slit his head into two. But that would not deter him from his religion. Another would have steel combs reaching his bones, tearing up his flesh and muscles, but that would not deter him from his religion. By Allah. This affair will end with a rider riding from the Sanu to Hadramaut with none to fear except either Allah or wolves and his sheep, but you are hasty." Other unsupported slaves. One of the unsupported ones, the following were... Part of me worries that talking about all these martyrs almost encourages you to be another martyr. It almost encourages you to suffer. Like encouraging you to go through something of a similar degree. Because if we always talk about the martyrs, then we're going to think that being martyred is... It's like a Japanese kamikaze pilot. Not really, but you know what I'm saying? Just an idea. Other unsupported slaves. Of the unsupported ones, the followings were... 17 minutes left in my first session. When Abu saw his son freeing these physically weak slaves, he objected, saying, "My son, the slaves you free are weak ones. If you freed the strong ones, they would help and support the later." Abu Bakr replied, "Father, my objective is Allah's pleasure." It was in connection with this that the following verse was revealed, in which said, "As for him who gave fear and knowledge of the good, for him we shall ease the path of ease." And tell the words, "And he has none to please from the good act that he does, except that he seeks the face of his Lord, the Exalted, and soon he shall be pleased." It should so happen that Zenariah lost her eyesight after Abu Bakr had helped her win freedom. The disbelievers began to taunt her that her eyesight was taken away by La and Uzza. She said, "By Allah and his house, they are liars. La and Uzza can neither harm a person nor benefit him." Allah restored her eyesight. Afla, also known as Abu Fukaya, was a slave of the Abdu Dar family. They would tie up his legs with a rope and drag him on the earth to torment him. Now, after all this, we're going to learn the lessons of this. Lessons. Someone might ask, why did the Prophet and his early companions have to undergo the tortures? Why didn't Allah save his soldiers and his Prophet from it? The first answer is that the man is responsible for being in this life. He is required to spread the word of Islam and struggle to establish the truth. This is a requirement that man cannot escape from, being what he is, Allah's slave. The Quran has said, "We have not created man and jinn, but to worship me." This responsibility and devotion to Allah require that man bear the difficulties and tortures when they come along. Trials and tribulations are the means by which the true and the false can be distinguished. Allah said, Alif Lam Mim, did the people reckon that they will be left alone if they said, "We have believed," and they will not be tried? Verily, we tried those that went before them. Surely Allah will distinguish between the truthful and the false. He also said, "Do you reckon that you will enter paradise when Allah has not yet made known those who struggle and has not yet made known those who are patient?" The above being the realities of Muslims should never despair when faced with some trials. In fact, the opposite is true. Muslims ought to congratulate each other whenever faced with trials and tribulations, hoping that such things would make achievements of their goals surer and faster. This is clear from Allah's words. Do you reckon you will enter paradise when the like of what visited before those you has not yet come to you? They were visited by evils and pain and were shaken until the messenger and his men cried out, when will be Allah's help? Lo, Allah's help is near at hand. It's just like what Jesus went through on the cross. And he cried, before he went on the cross, he cried to God. So we should be happy when we go through these struggles. I feel like if you're happy when you go through the struggles, then you're going to want the struggles to happen. But why can't you want it to be easy? Meaning, why can't you want people in your life to accept it with open arms? Scholars agree between themselves that when faced with hardships, one can opt to choose the difficult option rather than the easy way out. It is also agreed that it is better, especially for the scholars and leaders, to choose a difficult option rather than the easy one. Further, it is also agreed that the common people taking the easy way out is not a sign of their weakness in faith. This is deduced from the Prophet's advice to Umar and Basir. If they repeat the tortures, you may repeat the words of disbelief. In other words, he told him to speak out words in praise of the pagan deities so long as his heart was steady with true faith. Says Ibn Kathir, scholars are in one opinion that it is allowed for a Muslim undergoing tortures to say words that will help him escape punishment. It is also allowed that he stay firm, uncompromising, as Bilal did, despite the tortures. We have another example. The important thing, of course, is that the heart of a Muslim remains firm in his religion. On the same topic, Ibn Jawah has said, it is allowed that one speak out the word of disbelief when tortured. From Ahmad, we have two reports on this issue. One of them says that if a man fears his life or limb, he might speak out words of disbelief. A second condition is that the threats should take action for him. In that situation, it is allowed to dissemble disbelief, although it is preferable that one doesn't take that option. Obviously, there are kinds and varieties of believers. In accordance with the weakness or strength of their trust in Allah, the reactions will also vary. History will not send into oblivion the example that the first generation Muslims set for the rest of the Ummah for all times and place. The enemies Islams will never in any place and any time desist from employing any means to put out the light of Islam and destroy its message and its bearers. But surely they won't be able to employ any means that the Quraish did not employ against the weak Makkah Muslims. It was by the wisdom of God that the Quraysh should repeatedly seek to reach a compromise solution with the Prophet. Next sections. Efforts to check Muslim migration. When some of the Muslims migrated, the Quraysh sent teams behind them to prevent their entry into the land of their desire. When the Muslims succeeded in entering it and establishing themselves in sizable numbers, they sent a delegation to try and get them back. They even tried to bribe the Abyssinian ruler Najai and went as far as playing a trick on him, but failed in their efforts. The details of this will come later when we speak of migration. the meeting place of the Prophet and his companions. The Prophet used to meet secretly with his early converts in order to pass on the latest revelations that he had received. By the 5th year of his commissioning, he had chosen the house of one of his followers for this purpose. It was the house of Akram bin Arqam. This meeting place was kept secret because several early converts had kept their faith secret. This shows that when the interest of Islam and Muslims require such a measure, there is no harm in resorting to it. This policy of secrecy is in fact quite a recurring theme in the life of the Prophet. As to the question why the Prophet chose that particular place, Biography has answered that Arqam was not known as a Muslim. He was of the Banu Hashim. You guys want me to turn the volume up? Hello, is this better? Sorry guys, I'll try not to scream. Peace be with you. Okay, why did the Prophet choose a specific place? Ooh, so there was a guy. Further, a guy named Arqam was just about 16 when he embraced Islam. Nobody would have guessed that meeting would be held in his house in preference to other known important Muslims. It might also be noted that Arqam's house was near Mount Safa, normally a crowded place. It was difficult to notice people's movements and guess that a meeting was taking place somewhere around. Even when the pagans suspected that the Muslims were meeting somewhere, all they could guess was that they probably met somewhere around Mount Safa. As pointed out earlier, the efforts at secrecy were very commonly employed by the Prophet throughout his life, this being another case in point. The first immigration to Abyssinia. Persecutions of the minor type had begun by the middle of the 4th year after the Prophet's commissioning, but it gathered heat day after day, month after month. By the middle of the 5th year, it became unbearable to stay in Mecca. So the Muslims seriously began to consider ways to which they would escape the tortures. It was during those difficult days that the Quranic chapter Al-Kahf was revealed in reply to a few questions that the pagans had raised. It comprised 3 stories, all of which contained subtle hints from Allah to those who had believed in him. The story of the sleepers in the cave hinted at the Muslims that they could migrate from the pagan consecrated places if they feared their faith. One of the passages said, "The youths told each other, 'And when you have sought to distance yourself from them and what they worship apart from Allah, then retreat to the cave. Allah will spread out for you his mercy and prepare your affairs with faculty.'" The story of Musa and Khidr conveyed the message that it is not all necessary that the succession of events should not lead to normal consequences. Sometimes the consequences can be entirely different from what is apparent. Then came down chapter Az-Zumar. It also hinted at migration to Abyssinia. It announced that Allah's earth is not constricted. It said, "Those who do good in this life, there is good recompense for them, and Allah's earth is vast. Surely those who demonstrate patience and perseverance, they will be recompensed without measure." It was in these conditions and in the background that the Muslim immigration to Abyssinia began. Ibn Ishaq has reported the following as narrated by Salam. She said, "When Mecca became too narrow for us, where the companions of the Prophet were tortured and persecuted, and the Prophet could not save them, although he himself was not harmed because of her family connections, and especially because of his uncles, that he was not as freely targeted with that would give him pain. The Abyssinians' lands are ruled by a king who does not oppress anyone. Therefore, go forth and seek refuge in his lands until Allah finds a way out of the present situation." Accordingly, we started going there, assembling ourselves in ones and twos. And we truly discovered that we had gone to a good land, good neighbors, and peace over our religion, and fearful of no oppression. Praise God for places where you can freely share your ideas. And honestly, America is one of those places. Like, I've been roasting the church nearby me that has a gay pride flag outside of it. But at the same time, there is something beautiful about the fact of freely expressing yourself. But at a certain point, it goes too far. I don't know. There is something beautiful about being able... I mean, freedom. The entire point of freedom of speech, which America has been founded on, is letting people say things that you don't like them saying. That's what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is not... It doesn't mean everyone's going to be smiling all the time. Freedom of speech means you frown because people say things that you don't want. But then you get to say what you want. Part of that is amazing. I mean, as you can see, Muhammad and his homies went to Abyssinia. Never forget who slammed planes into towers. Whoever did 9/11 is not a Muslim. Oh, so they went to Africa? Oh, this is the Horn of Africa? I thought that was the Horn of Africa. I'm really stupid. But no, I'm not. I'm not stupid. So they went down here? Damn. Look at all the cranes. Crane, 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 crane. In the middle of the freaking desert. What in the world is that? So they had to go to Africa now. So the Prophet, Muhammad and his boys, So Muhammad and his boys shifted to Ethiopia because of so much persecution. Ibn Sa'd provides the details. He said that the Muslims slipped out of Mecca secretly. The first batch was made up of the 11 men and 4 women. When they had assembled in Shubaya, they luckily found 2 merchant ships about to sail. The ship owners agreed to transport them from Abyssinia for half a dinar each. That was in Rajab, the 6th year after the Prophet was commissioned. The Quraish went after them in hot pursuit, following their tracks, but they reached the shore to learn that the ship had just sailed out and that everyone had escaped. Damn, so they had to escape? So they were like straight up in... Oh, only companions? Oh. So not Muhammad, but his boys. You know what I'm saying? They were like, skirt! So who said skirt? Only the boys said skirt. The companions. Only some of the boys. Steve. Okay, that was 45 minutes. Steve C. left Islam as a toddler. Latif. Latif, chill, man. Chill. What was I about to do? Latif, chill. Latif, please chill, but please don't chill, leave. Latif. One sec. I need to stretch a little bit and take a break. My favorite part of what I've been reading so far is the part where where Bilal is being tortured, and he just keeps saying 1, 1. Imagine being tortured for believing in God and just walking around and they're like beating you to death and you're just like 1, 1. That's what Islam is. It's not people wearing weird stuff on their heads. It's not. All I can say is, coming from the West, if you guys are ever talking to someone in the West about your religion, personally, I would avoid. If I'm gonna speak to if I was gonna speak to one of my friends and explain what the religion of Islam is, I would try to avoid using any Arabic words because they all sound evil. Because we've been taught that those words are bad. That Allah is a bad word. That means you're following something other than God. But really, all Islam is just one. It's just 1, 1, 1. Rabia, that was a scene that was cut out. Like if you were trying to explain to someone what it means to be Muslim, then I would just do this and be like, this is what it means. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. That's what it means to be Muslim. Not to follow anyone else except God. Now, how you follow God, people will say, well, I follow, these teachings, I follow the hadiths to better follow God. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's only about following God. And if you're explaining to someone from the West, don't use any... my recommendation is you can say whatever you want. Of course, you have freedom of speech. But I would not suggest using, Salah alaikum. Like, if you say that to someone... When someone says that to me, I know it means peace be with you, but I still hear just gibberish. I still hear Arabic. All right, noted. Yes, this is for all of us to better teach people about the religion of Islam, which the religion of Islam, like, I'm just saying, if you start saying if you wear like a prayer cap, they're immediately gonna be like, why are you wearing that? You look so different. But no, like, try to explain to them, like, no, this is what Moses did. This is what, because I think my perspective is gonna be very valuable to us, to all of us. My perspective is very interesting. And by the way, this channel is, here, I'll talk about that another day. And I wonder if you know what it means to find your dreams come true. One. Oh my gosh, there's someone named One. Yup, that's me, boys. Oh, Latif. Chill. Jonas Novus. Fun fact. Every prophet had their shahada. It was a way to confirm the message openly that there is only one God and X is his messenger. How do you know this, Jones? Jones Novus, much love. Jones Novus, much love. What does everyone keep saying? Takbir. Oh, because Quran says it? I have not yet finished Muhammad Ali. Takbir equals al-Aqabah. To find your dreams come true. And I wonder if you know what it means. What it means. Okay, Latif, do 20 with me if I do 20. I'm gonna keep reading in a sec, guys, after my break. Alright, don't be fat! Don't be fat. No matter what religion you are, don't matter, because the true religion is to follow God and God only. And how you follow God and God only, there's many ways you can do that, but one way you can do that is you can treat the body that God has given you with complete respect. So prove to God that you do respect your life. So don't be fat, don't be weak, don't be mentally weak, and do push-ups. Doing 100 push-ups today on stream. Let's go. That was 25. Teach us how to do push-ups. Okay? How you do push-ups is, first step, if push-ups are too hard for you, then get on your knees and just do like this. And if you're very overweight and that's too hard for you, then maybe you could well, at that point, if you're not strong enough to be able to do a push-up on your knees, then you just need to get more active in general. You need to lose weight because you're probably very overweight. So at that point, you just need to eat better food. You just need to make small adjustments in your life, and over the course of 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you'll notice that you start feeling better, you'll start looking better, and your entire life will change with small changes. Don't make a big change in your life, because it'll always bounce back. It's like a pendulum. If you one day say, I'm going to change everything today, in 1 week, you'll go right back. Small things. If you work out for 0 minutes a day, start working out every day for 1 minute a day. And until you've done that consistently every single day, and you don't miss, then maybe do 5 minutes a day. But first do 1 minute until you worked out for 1 minute every single day. All you gotta do is make small changes. So if you're not strong enough to do a girl push-up, then you need to lose weight. So figure out how to do that, and just don't be fat, don't be a little bot. Then if you want to do a regular push-up, go on your knee, on your arms. And one tip for me, the best thing is spread your fingers out. Do it with me right now. Don't sit there chatting, you bunch of lazy people. Come on, do some push-ups. Spread your fingers out. Spread your weight evenly throughout your fingertips. The fingertips that God has given you. Spread your hand out like flex your hand. Get under your shoulders. And then just go down and up. And don't go like this. Don't arch your back. Keep your core tight like you're planking. And then keep your head level and just boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna tell you what. If you do push-ups right, Umi, come on, you're better than that. If you do push-ups right, they're very hard. They're very hard. How many did I just do? I did 30, right? Did I do 30? I always do 20 when I ask you to do it. Hell yeah, Latif, that's my boy. Wait, no, I just did 30, so I'm at 40. Umi said I prefer running. Do both, Umi, be better! 35, 25. Tufan, much love for the super chat, brother. I don't have time to follow your link. If you have 11 workouts 11 wives, that's a good workout too. Hey, Buttercup, chill. Perry, I appreciate you asking, however, not right now. One moment, chat, and then we'll be. Alright, chat, my name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old from Texas, and today we're learning about a man who supposedly was named Muhammad, who lived 1,500 years ago, and because of the book that came from him, the world is a different place because it has reestablished the only monotheistic religion left. That's what I believe. But either way, I hope you guys are all here learning something new. What do you mean supposedly? Well, I didn't see him, so I don't know anything that I didn't see for sure. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years from Texas, and this channel is dedicated to following my life. I appreciate you being here on the stream. I know you're not doing it out of a favor to me, but I'm glad that you guys are here to learn something new. That's what it's all about. We're all about learning, getting better, becoming better humans, and better living our life. If you would like to help and directly support the stream to help me improve my studio and my setup, you can click the link in the description, which is a buy me a coffee. You can buy me a metaphorical coffee. Thank you for being here. Let's learn something new, and let's get some W's in the chat, okay? Let's keep reading. Hey Siri, set a 45-minute timer. $45-minute timer. Curious One, I'm going to read your super chat after I'm done with this 45-minute session. Much love, brother. Grayson, would you marry 4 wives? No, I would never do 4 wives. I'd probably do like 40, maybe 500. I mean, at least like 87. So 45-minute session has begun. And what time is my next stream starting, guys? Live in 98 minutes. Okay, so I got 2 more 45-minute sessions, and then we're going to start that one. I'm not going to be able to finish this book this week. Next week I'm learning Arabic. I'm not going to be able to finish this book this week, but I think it's going to give me a good idea more about... It already has given me a lot. So far, to summarize this book, the world was following idolatry before Muhammad and his homies arrived. And when Muhammad and his homies arrived and started telling people, we only follow one God, and they started going to the place of worship to do that in the Kaaba, people were hating on them a lot, and they were getting persecuted to the point where his boys had to leave to go to Ethiopia. Ibn Sa'd provides the details. He said that the Muslims slipped out of Mecca secretly. The first batch was made up of 11 men and 4 women. So, the companions dipped to Ethiopia because they were being persecuted for telling people that there's only one God. One. The Prophet said about Amin and Rakaya, may Allah be pleased with them, that they're the first family to migrate after Abraham and Lot. This hijra is known as the first hijra to Abyssinia. Ibn Hashim has written that Uthman bin Hazam was an appointed leader. What does hijra mean? H-I-J-R-A-H. Hijra? Don't ban anyone unless they are spamming. Okay, thank you, Latif. Migration. Reminder to all moderators, no one should be banned. If anyone is banned and they weren't spamming, they were just saying something ridiculous, then don't ban them. Freedom of speech. Finish the book. I know, but it's going to take me so much longer than I thought to finish it, and I honestly want to hurry up and just start reading the Quran. But I guess next week I'm learning Arabic and then I'm doing the Quran, but I want to learn some Arabic too, so I know, you know what I'm saying? Alright, focus. Thank you. These people hadn't stayed there for long when news reached them that the Meccans had embraced Islam, so they decided to return to Mecca the same year in Shawwal. However, when they got near Mecca, they learned that they had heard it was only a rumor and that the fire of hatred had not yet died down. Some of them returned to Abyssinia, while a few other opted to re-enter Mecca, other concealing themselves thereafter after living under protection of one of the Quraish. Some historians have conjectured that the reason for their return was a rumor that a compromise solution had been worked out between the Quraish and the Muslims. Its main point was that the Prophet had allegedly praised their deities and acknowledged the important position. It was said the Prophet recited the chapter on Najam in the Holy Mosque when he reached, "Have you considered that Lat and Uzza and the third of the three of the Manat?" At the point, Satan interjected the following words in the ears of the pagans: "Those lofty swans, surely their intercession is the thing coveted." So, okay, the chain of narration. Ibn Kathir said, many commentators of the Quran have mentioned this story, but all of them have the name of the companion narrator at the top missing. I have not yet come across a single narration complete of chain. Allah knows best. This part is about the authenticity of the reports, but I don't even know any of these people's names, so. Okay. Common sense contradiction with the Quran. What? Dr. Uzami writes in refutation of this story, if we suppose for a moment that its chain of narration are trustworthy, does it mean the narration is true? Allah forbid that it be so. Oh, this is about saying, did Muhammad prostrate himself to the pagan gods? Well, either way, even if he did, which he probably didn't. Even if he did, it doesn't change the fact that it's wrong to bow to anything except God. How can you guys... You guys don't know what Muhammad did in his life. Neither do I. We can make strong guesses, but it always, at the end of the day, is a guess based on trusting a bunch of people. At the end of the day, we can only trust God. Second immigration to Abyssinia. When some of these had migrated to Abyssinia returned, they discovered that the persecution of the Muslims had actually got intensified. The Prophet too was a helpless witness to what was happening, so he allowed a second batch to immigrate. This time there were over 80 men and 90 women. Other figures have been suggested. So they went back. So, do I need to turn up my volume, by the way? Are we good? Hello, how's this? Let me fix something real quick. I need effects, filters, limiter. How's that? Is that better, or does that make me quieter? Hello, is that better or does it make me quieter? Wait, do I sound louder right now as number one? Louder right now? Or louder right now? Which one was louder, 1 or 2? Which one was louder, 1 or 2? Which one was louder, 1 or 2? Didn't change? Okay. Limiter. Thank you guys for helping me. Okay, so it sounds good right now. We're good? Yeah, we're good. How is this? How's this sound right now? Does this sound good? Does this sound good? Does this sound good? Okay. Sorry, Ikrad. I didn't mean to scare the people on the train. Okay. Second immigration to Abyssinia. So they left. They went to Abyssinia. They went to Ethiopia, the companions, and then they heard rumors that there was peace had gone at Mecca. So they went back. Turns out the persecution was worse. When When some of those who had immigrated to Abyssinia returned, they discovered that the persecution of the Muslims had actually gotten intensified. The Prophet too was a helpless witness to what was happening, so he allowed a second batch to immigrate. This time there were over 80 men and 90 women. Other figures have been suggested. Imam Ahmad has a report coming from Ibn Masud. He said, the Prophet sent us to Nashai. We were some 80 men, including figures such as Jafar, Abdullah bin. He did not mention the number of women. Quraysh's efforts to get back the immigrants. So Quraysh, the tribe that hated the Muslims, are now trying to get back at the immigrants. Ibn Ashaq has the following report coming from Salam in connection with the immigrants of Abyssinia. When we descended on Abyssinian lands, we found ourselves in the neighborhoods of a good neighbor, the Nashi. He left us in peace over our religion, and we worshipped Allah in a manner that nothing untoward happened to us, nor did we hear anything that would displease us. When the Quraysh learned of these conditions, they consulted among themselves and decided that they should send 2 of their prominent men to Najashi to speak to him about us. They also brought expensive gifts from Mecca to them. Of course, the most delightful of things for them was leather, so they collected a lot of leather and did not leave any of his high priests without intending a gift for him. They sent Abdullah bin Abdul Raj and Amr bin as instructing them in words. Speak to every priest before speaking to Najashi about them. Then offer the gifts to Najashi and speak out to their men expelled before he has time to speak to them. Accordingly, they met every one of his priests and presented gifts marked for him before they spoke to Najashi. They said to the priest, a few of our foolish young men have entered the kingdom. They have abandoned their religion, but have not entered your religion, adopting an innovative religion that neither you nor we are familiar with. Hadith literature also tells us that the priest agreed with the Quraysh delegation that they would advise Najashi to order expulsion of the Muslims without speaking to them. But when Najashi was advised that he preferred, he would rather speak to them directly to hear what they had to say. When they were brought to him, it was blah blah blah. While they were leaving, by God, tomorrow I should come up with something that will destroy their peace and comfort. These people say something most intolerable about Jesus Christ, and Najashi sent for them. When they came in, he asked them about what they thought of Jesus Christ. Jafar replied, we say no more than what our prophet has told us about him, that he was all a slave, his messenger, his spirit, and his word, what he blew into Virgin Mary. At that, Najashi picked up a piece of straw from the ground and said to Jafar, Jesus was no more than what you said about him than this straw. He showed no concern for what his priests had to say and granted the Muslims a peaceful stay in his lands. He also returned to the gifts of Quraysh had sent. The Muslims remained there for a period that Allah had willed for them. Those who wished returned from the Muslim immigration to Medina and before the Battle of Badr. Those who returned at that time were 33 men and 80 women. The rest of the returned with Jafar only in the 7th year after Hijrah, when the Prophet had overcome the Khyber problem. Lessons. The movement of some people to Abyssinia legalizes Hijrah, which is to move from a land of the disbelievers where worshipping Allah is made impossible to another land where he can be worshipped without fear. We will have more to say on this topic when we deal with the Prophet's own Hijrah. Sacrifice of one's wealth, homeland, and life are the foundation stones in which this religion rests. If religion is lost, and wealth, homeland, and one's life are reduced to insignificance. Indeed, with religion lost, they are also likely to fall into oblivion. In contrast, if religion is established and strengthened by society and faith is well entrenched by the hearts, then the loss of wealth and homeland are likely to be regained in quality and quantity better than what lost, since they will be then armored with honor, strength, and wisdom. It is allowable for Muslims to accept a shelter offered by non-Muslims, if need be, whether such shelter is provided by the people of the book, such as the Christian king Najashi, who later became a Muslim, or pagans, such as those under those protections. Some Muslims re-entered Mecca, or like Abu Talib, who gave protection to the Prophet, or Mutum bin Adu, who accorded him protection when he was returning from Taif. Now we're going to learn about Najashi's Islam. In one of his narrations, Ibn Ishaq has reported after Najashi's death, the people could see a light emanating from his grave. This leads us to believe that he had embraced the faith of Islam. These reports of Ibn Ishaq are in line with the reports in the Sahih that speak of Najashi's Islam. I don't understand. Islam of Hamza and Umar. Ooh, Hamza. Guys, Hamza's den. Hamza. Islam of Hamza and Umar. Guys, Hamza. Guys, they named someone in this book after Hamza. Did y'all know that? I didn't know they named someone in this book after Hamza's den. Okay. The entry of some of the important men of Quraysh into Islam did not prevent the pagans from persecuting the Muslims. The entry of some of the important men of Quraysh into Islam did not prevent the pagans from persecuting the Muslims. In that climate loaded with hatred, Allah willed that Abu Jahl's hatred of the Prophet should become the cause of Hamza's entry into Islam, who, although an uncle of the Prophet, was till then a declared opponent of Islam. Then in his fury he yelled, "Do you dare insult him while I am on his religion?" Wait. Without a moment's hesitation, Hamza went up to Abu Jahl while he sat among some of the Quraysh men and hit him on the head with his bow, injuring him badly. Then in his fury he yelled, "Do you dare insult him while I am on his religion?" That outburst led Hamza to seriously consider Islam. Wait. The Meccans were subject to various tendencies. On the one hand, their obstinacy prevented their entry into Islam. But whenever a new event touched their hearts and souls, the good tendencies threatened to take over and drive off the evil ones. In connection with Hamza, the following report, Ibn Ishaq says, speaks of the two forces of good and evil in struggle. The report tells us, when Hamza returned home, Satan came to him and chided him, "Look, you are Quraysh chiefman. Will you abandon the religion of your forefathers and follow that of this upstart? Surely death is better for you than that." That brought him back to feelings of regret. Confused, he finally said, "O Lord, if this new religion be true, open my heart to it. If not, find a way out for me." It's not new though. It's not new. Oh my gosh. He spent the night so disturbed as never before because of Satan's prompting and planting of doubts. In the morning, he went up to the Prophet and said, "My dear nephew, I have fallen in a situation of which I do not know the way out. I'm not able to decide if this thing that you present is the truth or is a huge fallacy. So speak out to me." The Prophet spoke to him in detail, giving him good tidings, warning out of dire consequence of rejection and things of that sort. Allah inspired faith into Hamza's heart, and so he admitted. "I believe you are right. My testimony comes from my heart, so go ahead and work for your cause openly. By God, I will not prefer to have all the riches under the sky in exchange for this new religion." Thus, Hamza proved to be one of those who strengthened the Islamic rank. When Hamza embraced Islam, the Quraysh realized that the Prophet stood stronger and that Hamza is henceforth going to protect him. That led them to withhold some of what persecutions they were delivering to the Prophet. Hamza's Islam, declared in the house of Arkham, was an event of the 6th year after revelation. Umar's Islam. Umar too was one of the most dedicated enemies of Islam. He was known for his hot temper and muscle power. The Muslims had quite often experienced persecutions and torments at his hands. Sa'id bin Zayd, his brother-in-law, said, "By Allah, I have been through these days when Umar would tie me up and his sister because of Islam before he embraced himself. According to another version, only if you had seen me tied up because of my Islam, me and my sister, before his own declaration of Islam." Ibn Ishaq has reported that Abdullah Laila, the wife of Ibn Rabi, and while Umar was out for something, by Allah, we were preparing to move out of Abyssinia, and husband was out. Lessons. Men of power and influence from among disbelievers can prove to be a source of strength in the Islamic movement. This is the reason for the Prophet to covet the Islam of Abu Jahl or Umar. The point is further illustrated by another report which said, "Those who were the best of the people before Islam would be the best of them in Islam, provided they gain understanding." Those who were the best of the people before Islam would be the best of them in Islam, provided they gain understanding. Whoa. Those who were the best of the people before Islam would be the best of them in Islam, provided they gain understanding. Is that a Quranic verse? Those who were the best of the people before Islam would be the best of them in Islam, provided they gain understanding. Is this a verse, ChatGPT, that's in the Quran? Oh, it's a hadith. Interesting. Hey, SevG, please stop spamming. Hey, Latif, can you mute SevG for a bit? I do want to speak with Gabe. Gabe, are you actually on here? Gabe, real quick, are you on here? That's exactly how G will be. Wait, Yama, is that you, Gabe? Can we get some W Gabes in the chat? Jones, much love, brother. I will read your super chat after I'm done with this session. Gabe, if you're here, I'd love to stream with. I'd love for you to hop on the stream later over FaceTime. In about, oh, Yama, that's not Gabe. I don't know if Gabe is here. Okay, back to, I'm in. W Gabe, but I don't know him. Did Dr. J get banned? Gabe, show yourself. It's okay if Gabe is in here. Yama, hello. Dr. J was spamming? Wait, how was he actually spamming? Wait, Umi, how long is he banned for? No. Did Dr. J... Dr. J, no! He was? Was Dr. J actually spamming? Oh, he only got blocked for 1 minute. Oh, okay. Thank you, Umi. Yes. Yes, Dr. J, where you at? Oh, there's Dr. J. Okay, thank you, Latif. Okay. Thank you, Umi. You guys are doing great moderators. I'm just making sure that nobody's getting blocked because I really want this to be freedom of speech because people have tried to stop me from speaking on stream. So I know what it's like to be silenced, even when you're joking, even if it seems... I just know what it's like to be on the other side of it, and I don't want anyone to be silenced in this chat. I want this to be dedicated to freedom of speech. All right? So... You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to turn up my sound real quick. Hey, ChatGPT, real quick. I have a limiter as well as a compressor. How do I... But however, the volume now is too low. But I'm on an OBS studio. The limiter in the compressor you helped me set up, and I need you to help me turn it down so my volume can be a little bit louder. But I still want them on. But what settings do I adjust? Sorry, chat, 1 sec. Increase the value, make it less negative. Compressor. Hello? What about that? Does that sound better? Does this sound better, guys? Does this sound better now? All right, bet. Way better. All right. Sorry. Okay, back to learning. Alright. Those who were the best of the people before Islam would be the best of them in Islam, provided they gain understanding. Therefore, the callers of Islam should not neglect to pay attention to important influential personalities of the disbelieving societies. One advantage is that the acceptance of Islam by such people removes a lot of doubt and hesitation on the part of the followers. This has always been the case. The Quran said... Is it really still not loud enough? Oh, wait, no, Latif, you're kidding. Alright, I'm turning off the chat, frick, even though I keep saying that. Dr. J, shut the frick up, you little freaking bot. Therefore, the callers to Islam should not neglect to pay attention to important influential personalities. The Quran said, the day when their faces will be turned about in the fire, they will say only that we had obeyed Allah and obeyed the Prophet. And they will say, O Lord, we obeyed our chiefs and important men, but they took us off the straight road. O Lord, inflict upon them double the punishment and curse them greatly. However, invitations should not be confirmed to the leaders and people of influence. In fact, Muslim leadership, those misguided off the Islamic course in the affairs of this life, needs also to be addressed. The Prophet's gesture of rising up to receive Umar bin Khattab when he presented himself to him in Arkham's house, holding him by the end piece of his shirt and pulling him toward himself, exposing himself to the risk that Umar could instant it. Now we're on the next section, general boycott. We got 15 minutes left in this study session, and then I'll be back to discuss with you guys one more study session, and then we're going to do a different stream. Stream is going to change from group study session to discussion. When the Quraysh saw that the number of those entering in Islam was on the rise and that the methods adopted by them towards combating it have failed, especially after the Islam of Hamza and Umar, they had to reconsider their methods. They decided therefore to embark on another strategy which was no less harder to bear than the previous one. It was to boycott the Prophet's entire tribe. Ibn Ishaq, Musa bin Ubaq, Irwin bin Zubair, Ibn Sa'd, and others of the biographers have reported that when the Quraysh saw that the companions of the Prophet had found an abode of peace in Abyssinia, so the tribe realized that the companions were peacefully living in Ethiopia so they could practice their religion. And the Quraysh tribe was like, oh, hell nah. They agreed together that they'd get the Prophet assassinated. When this news reached Abu Talib, he got Banu Hashim and Banu Talib assembled together. During the meeting, they decided that they would keep the Prophet in a narrow valley within Mecca, preventing any attempt on his life. This was their response to the threat by the Quraysh, although many of them were not Muslims. When the Quraysh noticed that, they called for an assembly of their own and entered into an agreement regarding the fact that they will enter any commercial deal with them, nor intermarry wished until they had willingly handed over the Prophet to them. They hung the boycott agreement inside the Kaaba. It was Mansur bin Ikrimah who wrote it. The Prophet supplicated against him, and a few of Mansur's fingers became stiff with paralysis. Some have said that it was Nadir bin Harith who wrote it. Others say it was Talib bin Abu Talal. However, both Banu Hashim and Banu Talib entirely stood by Abu Talib, except Abu Lahab. The boycott lasted 2 to 3 years. The Quraysh even punished those of their relatives about whom they learnt that they had secretly passed on gifts to them. It went on until some of the important opponents of Islam from the Quraysh themselves could no more reconcile themselves with the severity the boycott entailed. Yunus has a report which narrates him. I was one of those caught up with the Prophet during the boycott. One night I went out to pass urine. I felt it was falling on something hard. It was camel skin. I washed it, burnt it, ground it between 2 stones, swallowed the powder, and drank some water over it. It gave me strength for 3 days. Oh my gosh. Whenever a caravan berthed outside Mecca and one of them went out to purchase some food, Abu Lahab would warn the seller, O men of trade, inflate the prices for Muhammad's men so that they cannot afford to buy. You know me as a responsible person. I promise you that you will not be the losers. So with the prices blown up, they would return empty-handed to their children, crying aloud from hunger. The traders would then go to Abu Lahab. He would compensate them. The boycott put the believers under great suffering until some of them died of it, as a report of Ibn Abbas tells us. Nonetheless, despite the boycott and suffering, the Prophet did not give up preaching. Every pilgrimage season, he would set out meeting those who came to Mecca, offering them Islam. Nor did he neglect the townsmen among them whom he continued to preach. Ultimately, when the compact writing was worn out, the Muslims came out of the boycott, resuming normal life. A third report coming from Lessons. In addition to the points mentioned in the previous chapter, the following might be added. At no time or place the world is totally void of good and decent people. Those working for Islam ought to identify them in order to make use of them in times of trouble. All his enemies will, through the ages, resort to use the economic weapon in order to turn the believers back from the course. It is a weapon that has the consent of the hypocrites and disbelievers alike. Had the Muslims of that time been in their employment, surely their employers would have terminated their service as war strategy. The excommunication of Muslims suited the situation prevalent at the time. The Islamic workers must understand it and know how it can be extended and given new forms at other times. There is no consolation in what the Prophet was struck with. He is an example for the Muslims working in the path of Islam and who can be struck with similar trials and tribulations. Pagandom, either old or new, will never be without these noble qualities that can be relied on in made use of Muslims. Abu Talib's death. Don't know who that guy is, but I know he's been mentioned many times in this book. Abu Talib died in the 10th year after the commissioning of the Prophet, and just a few days after leaving the Abu Talib Valley. It is said that he died in Ramadan 3 days before the death of Quraish. Oh, that's why it says so he wasn't able to get him to convince to accept Islam. It was not for the Prophet and the believers to seek forgiveness for the pagans. You will not be able to guide those you love. Those are Quran verses related to this. Muslim has recorded on the authority of Abu Hurairah that the Prophet said to his uncle, "Say, there is no God except Allah, so that I can bear witness to your faith." He said, if not for the fear... So, Prophet Muhammad believed to have said to his uncle, "Say, there is no God but Allah." So that I may bear witness to your faith. So even then, he said take shahada, but only in his shahada, he just said you just need to say there is no God except Allah. That is shahada. There is no God except Allah. So that I can bear witness to your faith. He said, if not for the fear of the Quraish taunting me by saying that he didn't say that except from the fear of death, I would have set your eyes cool by saying it. Allah revealed, you will not be able to guide those you love, rather Allah guides whom he wills. As regards those narrations that affirm that Abu Talib pronounced the testimony before death, they are not very trustworthy. Authentic reports are ambiguous about the deaths and disbelief. Maybe Allah willed that Abu Talib should die a disbeliever 3 years before Hijrah. Perhaps that is because he had played a great role early in the prophetic call, and its spread could be attributed to his role. Otherwise, some people may imagine that Islam was after all a tribal affair whose chiefs were looking for leadership in political roles. Surely there must be many other reasons for Abu Talib to have died a disbeliever. It is stated that by default, Abu Lahab became the protector of the Prophet, being the next chief. This guy's death. Khadija's death. Reports are varied over the date of Khadija's death. It is said that she died 2 months. I'm going to skip that. Marriage to Sawda. Despite the variety of problems the Prophet faced in this phase of his life, he did not become oblivious to the hardships that his followers faced. Accordingly, in Shawwal of the 10th year after his commissioning, he married Sawda bint Zama. She was an early Muslim who had migrated to Abyssinia along with the second batch of Muslims. She was in the company of her husband, Sakhr bin Umar. He had died there. In appreciation of her situation, the Prophet married her. We shall have more to say on this marriage when we discuss his wives, the mothers of the believers. Journey to Taif. After the death of Abu Talib, when the Quraish were encouraged to behave with the Prophet in ways that they would not have done during his life, the Prophet decided to travel to Taif and seek the help of the Thaqif tribe. He had hoped that they would embrace Islam and as a minimum offer him protection. Ibn Ishaq tells us when he reached Taif, he met with the chiefs of the Thaqif tribe. They were 3, all sons of Amir bin Umar. He offered them Islam. They refused and scoffed at him. When the Prophet felt there was no hope they would accept the message, he requested them to keep the talk to themselves so that the common people were not provoked against him. But they refused that little courtesy and sent behind him their slaves, servants, and urchins. They began to shout behind him, abusing him until a crowd started to follow him. They forced him into an orchard owned by Utbah and Shayban, sons of Rabiah. The 2 were present in the orchard and had been watching the events. As he entered the orchard, the crowd dispersed. He sat down under the shadows of the grape tree. When the Prophet had settled, he supplicated, O Allah, unto you alone do I complain of my weakness, lack of means, and helplessness before the people. O most merciful of the mercifuls, you are the Lord of the weak, and you are my Lord, whom you entrust me to. Someone who treats me harshly, you turn enemy, whom you have given powers over me. But if you are not angry with me, I do not mind. Your satisfaction is greater than to me. I seek refuge by the light of your face that removes the darkness and which sets things light in this world and the hereafter, that your anger should descend on me. Unto you I submit my will, unto you pleased with me, and there is no power nor might except yours. When Rabiah's sons saw him in that condition, their hearts softened. They ordered their Christian slave Adas to present him with some dates. The Prophet surprised Adas by saying Bismillah before starting to eat. But his surprise was reduced when he learned that he was a prophet. He began to kiss his forehead, hands, and feet. Rabiah's sons did not wish to see him being influenced by the Prophet, so they told Adidas, let him not pervert you of your religion. Your religion is better than this. But Adas was convinced that he was a prophet. What happened was that when the Prophet said Bismillah, Adas reacted in surprise. This is something that people of this area never utter. Bismillah. The Prophet asked him, and where are you from? Adas told him that he was from Nineveh. The Prophet remarked, oh, I know that from the Bible, Nineveh. The Prophet remarked, from Yunus city? Adas was astonished. How do you know? The Prophet told him he knew because Yunus was a prophet as he himself was a prophet. Adas told him that when he left Nineveh, no more than perhaps 10 people knew who Yunus was. The report by Musa bin Ubak says that the Taif urchins had lined up 2 rows waiting for him to pass by. As he did, they wouldn't allow him to lift a foot and place it on the ground, but they would aim at it with a stone. Having received that rough treatment, the Prophet took his journey back to Mecca in grief. Then he was accompanied by an angel in charge of a mountain. Jibril told him that the angel was at his service. All he had to do was to say yes to the destruction of the Tafayans. He would crush them between the 2 mountains. The Prophet refused, but the visit and the suggestion added to his moral strength. I like that. It said Prophet Muhammad went somewhere to teach them about God, or he went somewhere to seek refuge, and he tried to ask them if they wanted to join Islam, which again, Islam is just the religion where you only follow God. And they totally roasted him. It said, but the visit and the suggestion added to his moral strength. But the visit added to his moral strength. But the visit added to his moral strength. Come on! Say, it has been revealed unto me that a few of the jinn listened and said, so this is, it says Muhammad went back to Mecca to see people worshipping Allah. He said, say, it was been revealed unto me that a few of the jinn listened and said, we have heard a strange but lovely Quran guiding to the right way. So we have believed in it. After this, we shall never associate anyone with our Lord. So he confirms that the jinn's visit to the Prophet, Ibn Hajar, stated reasons for seconding the opinions, blah, blah, blah. Alright, this 45-minute session has been complete, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make some oatmeal real quick and come right back. And then we're going to talk about what I just learned, and I'm going to read some of the chat and stuff, alright? Oatmeal time! Where's my phone? Oh. Chat, how we doing? Back from second round of studying. Hello, Nana. Hard work. How do you study so much, Grayson? I just love learning. And find a way to somehow integrate learning into your entire life. Hey, Umi, chill. I'm eating chicken later, okay? Okay. I have a few super chats I want to read. Curious One said, "Why don't you profess and say Shahada? It's just 2 sentences. You still keep your going and see how feel about it. It's speech. It's fundamental in Islam to be rational." It's fundamental, I believe it's fundamental in Islam to say there is only one God. And I'm just trying to understand what I'm saying before I'm committing to something. I'm just going to fully understand it before I commit to it. Jones Novus said, "Grayson, we are not just talking about a bunch of guys validating the stories of Muhammad, peace be upon him. We are talking thousands of people, tribes, enemies, eyewitnesses with written records that has been passed down, aka history." Okay, I see Jones. Okay. Dud. Look at ex-Muslims' testimonies, dude. Hear their side. Okay. I'm gonna write that down and do that later. Today. During my next live stream. Thank you, One. So how we doing, chat? I'm gonna get back to reading in a sec. How we doing, everybody? Is Jones in the chat? Is Jones Novus in the chat? Again, my name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old from Texas. I'm just a kid learning. As always, I'm not afraid of knowledge. I'm not afraid of learning something new. And I've been understanding a lot about religion recently and how it's been corrupted. If you'd like to directly support the stream, you can click the link in my bio, or you can go to my YouTube channel, the first link, you can buy me a virtual coffee so that I can stay energized. But seriously, that goes directly to me and supporting the stream and improving my setup so that these streams can continue to happen more often, right? I want to stream for more hours a day so that we can continue to learn together. This is dedicated to learning more about life and conquering our fears. We are the human race. We can come together. God intended us not to be fighting each other, but to be together. We must overcome everything negative on the news. It's all BS. We must come together. So glad you guys are here. Let's learn something new today. And let's talk a little bit before I continue to read. How we doing, chat? Naima's life. Stop spamming, please. Can you all block Naima for a bit? I'm not ignoring you, huh? Who's Naima? W. Brock, take it slow, don't hesitate. Much love, brother. Look into Muslim Lantern if you can. He's great. Jaded, much love. Muslim Lantern, I love his videos. I love his speech. It's so gentle. I'll watch the video later about Muslim Lantern Hadith. Dud, look at X Muslim Lantern. Oh yeah, I already read that. Hey Dud, are you there? How's everybody doing? Where's everybody from? I'm streaming live from Texas. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old. Where are you guys from? We're about to get back to reading, alright? Jones Novus. Oh, Jones, you're from Belgium. Fatma G's from Germany. Yalsmos from Germany. Dr. Vittorius is from Pakistan. Sam is from Texas. Howdy, how we doing, Sam? Hey, Wasal, chill. Icarus from England. Lath is from Iraq. Amin is from Germanistan. What the frick? Empress from Australia. How we doing? Hey, mate. Let him shrimp on the Barbie, bud. Jadid is Lebanese, but born and raised USA. Yassine is out here in Morocco. We got some Pakis in the chat. Hey, how many people we got from Pakistan in the chat? Good. UT, but born a Pakistani. Or UK. How many Pakis we got in the chat? Pakis. Are there any Indian Lindu in here? What does that mean? Indian Lindu. You should learn who the people in the Hadiths are. Kanye. Okay. Haki is a racial slur? Oh, Lindu. She meant Hindu. Are there any Indian Hindus in here? Are there any Indian Hindus here? And are there any Christians in here? And are there any atheists in here? Say, I'm a Christian, I'm an atheist, I'm a Hindu. Oh, Lindu is El Hindu? Islamic context from Ghana. Mammoth is a Christian. Tex is a Christian. How we doing, Tex? Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. Dees is an Eastern Orthodox. Impressa Emir is a Muslim convert considering leaving Islam. Sauna, yes, I'm doing that later today. Muhammad Aswai, answer to why you cried yesterday, read 583, okay? And when they listen to what has been sent down to the messenger, you will see their eyes overflowing with tears because they recognize the truth in it. They say, our Lord, we believe, so count us amongst the witnesses. Why should we not believe in God and in the truth that has come down to us when we long for our Lord to include us in the company of the righteous? For saying this, God has rewarded them with gardens graced with flowing streams, and there they will stay. That is the reward of those who do good. Those who reject the truth and deny our messages will be inhabitants of hellfire. And when they listen to what has been sent down to the messenger, you will see their eyes overflowing with tears. Mahmud. Hey, W to that guy, am I right? You so halal, Grayson. Much love. Habibi. Hey, Habibi. I am Habibi. But you are Habibi. Hey, where are the Habibis in the chat? You know what I'm saying? Skirt, skirt. Skirt, skirt. Skirt, skirt. Watching the message on Monday, guys. You inspire me so much, sir. Much love. Hey, why do I inspire you guys? Why do I inspire you guys? Habibi. You keep wanting to learn, you're funny. You give me motivation to keep finding the truth. Because you're forever learning, that's pretty cool. Afet says she's inspired by me because I'm not fat. Wow. You give me motivation to keep finding the truth. You encourage learning. Because you share the same values as Muslims do, Gray. Much, much love, Jones. Because you're so sincere, it makes you worth listening to. You seek the truth, seeking the truth. You give me motivation to keep finding the truth. I'm Muslim, but seeing you wanting to learn about Islam makes me want to also do more learning. You're sporty. You keep wanting to learn. You keep working and trying. It's kind of inspiring, not gonna lie. A min person said something nice. A min. Because you study and do research. You have the energy I can't have. Umi, yes you can. You're looking for the truth, of course. Tom said, Grayson, you're not funny. Thank you, Tom. You make me grateful to my parents for teaching me Islam. Habibi. You're entertaining. You have good parents. Yes, I do. You nerdy, which I relate. You have a beautiful smile. Knowledge is power. Keep going. Knowledge is power in the chat. All right, let's get 10 push-ups. Everyone drop and give me 10. Don't be lazy. Don't be fat. Let's go. We're up to 50 push-ups on the day. And you know we're gonna get to 100 every day. Wonder Kira, no they don't. I'm about to destroy your ears. Please turn down the volume. Come to the boy! All right, let's continue our research. Habibi, come to Dubai. I got you, Umi, of course. So now I need to, what did I need to do? How long do I have until the next stream starts? Well, I have as long as I want, but... Okay. ZYZ is coming to Dubai. Umi. Alright, back to research. Let's go. Set a timer for 38 minutes. 38 minutes. Last study session of the day. Alright, y'all. Let's learn. So far, I've been learning that Muhammad and his companions are being extremely persecuted for only trying to follow the one God and telling people to only follow the one God. They are being extremely persecuted, and life is very difficult for them. And Muhammad is maybe returning to Mecca? He sent a messenger to Akkaz bin Shirk asking him to provide him protection. The man evinced lack of courage. He sought excuse in that he was an ally of the Quraish, and an ally could not offer protection to the ally's enemy. Then he sought the protection of Suhail bin Umar. He too refused on grounds. Habibi, come to Dubai. I'm gonna stand up for a bit and read. Cause I'm that guy! I'm that guy! I'm that guy! Sorry. Okay, he too refused on grounds that Banu Hashim never offered protection and impression of blah, blah, blah. He assented and prepared himself and his sons to protect him. Hassan bin Thabit, the poet of Islam, had some beautiful verses in praise of his decision. He said, "You protected Allah's messenger from them, and they and the Muslims became your slaves so long as the pilgrims say Labbaik." If Mad and their families were asked about him or Khatan or the rest of the journal, they would say he faithfully keeps his covenant and his protection whenever protection is asked. The Prophet never forgot Muslims' favor nor his role in getting the boycott lifted. He said on the day of Badr in reference to the prisoners, "Had Muta been alive and asked me to release these prisoners, I would have released them." The protection offered, however, did not prevent the Prophet and his followers from movements in connection with the propagation activities. When some Muslims wished to migrate to Abyssinia, Abu Bakr happened to be one of those who thought he could go along. But when he reached a place called Barkalagamad, he met Ibn Daknad. He was a chief of the area. Abu Bakr complied. He built a small place in the compound of his house for prayers. However, when he prayed, women and children in the Quraish gathered around. His weeping at the recitation of the Quran attracted them. The Quraish got worried. The curious crowd could be won over to Islam by the Quran. So they asked Ibn Daknad to ask Abu Bakr to pray inside his house so that no one could hear him. Ibn Daknad came to him and said, "Either you comply or I'll withdraw my protection." Abu Bakr told him, "Let me return your protection hereby and seek the protection of Allah and his messenger." This stand was similar to that of Umar bin Khattab, who projected the protection of Khalals, hoping to be in the protection of Allah and his messengers like anyone else with the weaker sections of Muslims whom no disbeliever would give protection to. Lessons. The Prophet's choice of the three leaders of the Thaqif indicates the importance of inviting those whom the people follow. When they refused, it became obvious that the others would allow suit. Hence, he did not tarry long in Tahif. The Prophet demonstrated remarkable patience at Tahif despite the very painful treatment he received at their hands. He did not pray against them. Instead, he prayed for their guidance. Allah answered his prayer and manifested itself a decade later when the Thaqif tribe went to him as believers that he had lifted the Tahif siege and returned to Medina. The jinn meeting him at Nakar is a proof of their existence. It also shows that they're responsible and hence questionable beings. Further, it is apparent that while some of them believed in him, others did not. Our source of knowledge about this is the Quran itself. The Nocturnal Journey and Ascension. This miracle followed the death of the Prophet's uncle who protected him from his enemies, the death of his wife who shared with him his hardships, and after he had received in Mecca and Tahif tortures and afflictions of the worst part. Most narrations lead us to believe that the event took place after the 10th year of the commissioning. However, differences prevailed over when exactly it happened after the 10th year. Musa bin Ubaq was narrated on the authority of Zura and Ura bin Zubayr that the night journey to Baitul Maqdis took place a year before the Prophet's migration to Medina. It is also beyond dispute that the event of the nocturnal journey and ascension to the heavens did take place. The Quran spoke of it, although not in direct terms, in two chapters, Al-Isra and An-Najm. In the first chapter of mention, Allah spoke of the night journey and the wisdom behind it. He said, "Glorified is the one who took his slave by night from the sacred mosque, Grand Mosque of Makkah, to the furthest mosque, whose surroundings we have blessed in order that we might show him our signs. Surely he is the hero this year." In the other chapter, on Najm, Allah spoke of the ascension to the heavens and the benefits thereof. He said, "Surely he saw him, Archangel Jibril, a second time in his original form, near the furthest low tree. Thirat is the garden of abode. When the low tree was covering, the eye did not deviate, nor did it transcend. Surely he saw their great signs of the Lord." Many of the narratives of the Prophet period in Makkah are dedicated to describing this journey. In Bukhari alone, the total number of narratives reaches the figure 20. Nonetheless, a single report describing the whole journey in every detail is not available. Every narration has some features described that are not found in others. We have combined the reports to present them here as one whole, albeit abridged. The opening of the chest. Jibril came down on the blessed night of the journey, opened the roof of the Prophet's house in Makkah, slit his breast, and washed it with Zamzam water. Then he brought a tray filled with wisdom and faith and filled his heart thereafter. Then he closed it, held him up by his hand, and rose up. The nocturnal journey. Anas reports, the Prophet was brought up to me. It was a white creature, a little larger than a donkey, but smaller than a mule. He placed his foot at the end of the horizon. I mounted it. He took me to Baitul in Jerusalem. I tried it by the peg used by early prophets. I entered the mosque and offered 2 rakats in a prayer. As I came out, Jibril brought me 2 bowls, one wine and the other milk. I chose milk. Jibril remarked, your choice fell on nature. Then he took me up to the heavens. Other reports suggest that he prayed with the previous prophets before he ascended. Adam and all the prophets who followed him were assembled, and he led him into prayers. The ascension. Thereafter he was raised to the heavens. At the gates of every firmamental, Jibril asked to be let in. He was asked if he had a company. He would say yes and name Muhammad. They'd say, welcome, and open the gate. He met Adam at the first firmament, and the second Isa and Yahya, and the third Yusuf, and the fourth Yunus, and the fifth Harun, and the sixth Musa, and the seventh Ibrahim. He found him sitting, reclining on the Baitul Umar, which is the Kaaba of the heavens. Then he proceeded to the furthest point of Lot Tree, where Allah declared obligatory 50 prayers a day for his followers. When he met Musa while returning, he asked, what has been declared obligatory to people? He told him about the prayers. Musa told him to go back and seek reduction. He did that, and Allah reduced the number by 5, but then he came back down. Musa again urged him to go back and seek reduction. It went back until it was reduced to 5 prayers a day. I have declared the obligation and reduced the burden from my slaves. The reports of Anas coming from Abdur has some other details, such as the Prophet's words. Then I was taken up to a point from where I could hear the movement of the pens. Thereafter he spoke about the prayers being made obligatory. Then he continued. He took me further up until we reached the end of the low tree. It was covered by indescribable colors. After that I entered into paradise, and lo, it was all domes with the land all musk. Nawawi has at this point discussed in detail the beatific vision, mentioning the differences among the scholars over the issue. The Prophet was apprehensive that his people might refuse to believe in him if he spoke to them about this experience. He felt a bit sad on that score. It so happened that Abu Jahl met him and asked him mockingly, anything new? The Prophet told him about his journey. Abu Jahl didn't wish to express the disbelief and fear that the Prophet might recant. Therefore he asked him, supposing I gathered some people, will you repeat the story to them? Reports say that they refused to believe that he could go to Sham and come back within one night. Now people debate if it actually was in... Okay, I just read some of that in my head. Next chapter is in tribal support. The Prophet was constantly in search of a place to which he could immigrate. More peaceful devotion to Allah could be assured. That was the reason he had allowed his followers to immigrate to Abyssinia, and the reason why he had been to Tif. Thereafter, he offered himself to the adjoining tribes. The Hajj and Arab market seasons were suitable for meeting important men and chiefs of tribes, as well as the common people. He sought from them help, support, and protection without the condition that they should believe in his message. These days, he used to address the people in these words. Oh, so-and-so, I am the messenger of your Lord towards you. He commands you to worship him, associate not aught with him, abandon what you worship besides him, and that you should believe in me and protect me so that I can present to the people what I have been sent with. However, Abu Lahab would follow him in close range. When the messenger was through with his offer, he would shout out, "People, do not give up the religion of your forefathers, giving up the Allah and Uzza deities and breaking the ties with Banu Malik bin Akash, falling to the innovation this man has brought." What is Lat and Uzza? Lat and Uzza. The tribes from whom the Prophet sought protection from who refused included Kinda, their chief was Mullah or Fula, Banu Abdullah, the Kal, blah blah. In the 11th year after commissioning, the Prophet sought the help and support of some Khazraj people. He had met them at Mina. They sat down with him, listening. He recited the Quran to them and invited them to Islam. What had made them inclined to accepting it was that they lived by the Jews as their neighbors. They knew that they were the holders of the book and pretty knowledgeable. Whenever a dispute arose between them and the Jews did not fail to remind them that a messenger awaited for quite a while was about to appear. When he appears, we shall be with him and destroy you in the manner Ad and Aram were destroyed. When the Prophet invited them to Islam, they began to cast searching looks at each other. They said, "By God, you know that he is the same Prophet the Jews have been talking of. So let them not outsmart you." Therefore they all embraced Islam. They told him then, "We left our people in contempt and hatred of each other. Maybe Allah will unite them by you. We shall go to them and present them with what you have brought. We shall tell them about ourselves having embraced Islam. Maybe Allah will unite them under you. If that happens, then no one will be more powerful than you." When they reached Medina, they spoke to their people about the Prophet and invited them to Islam. They kept propagating the message until Islam began to spread among them. A point was reached when not a family of the Ansar was left, but Islam had entered into it. There was another factor which had helped in softening their attitudes. It was the Bu'ath battle. Bukhari informed us on the authority of Aisha, the battle of Bu'ath and Allah's preparation for the Prophet, because of which he was able to penetrate with his message. That was the day when their chiefs were dispersed, their leaders killed, and they were left badly injured. Thus Allah prepared them for the acceptance of Islam. Lessons. Pagan societies will never be without men like Abu Jabal, and in every age and every place they remain as examples of Abu Lahib and their adopters and attitudes acting as barriers before the callers of truth. Exactly. They spread the notion that the callers are the misguided ones, inviting people to a new religion or outright a fifth column. The Prophet did not take the notice of Abu Lahib. He kept working on his mission. It is necessary for the callers to knock on every door that they think will open for them new opportunities for their religion. They should not be disheartened by initial rejections, no matter how often they have to repeat their efforts with individuals or groups. They should not be disheartened by the immediate results. The first Aqabah pledge. In the next year, which happened to be the 12th year after commissioning, 12 Medina Muslims came down from Hajj. Some of them were among those who had met the Prophet of Islam the year before and had embraced this call. They met the Prophet and some of his companions in a place called Aqabah at Mina. They entered into a pledge with him. Bukhari, Muslim, blah, blah, blah. Ubadah said, the Prophet told them, "Give me your pledge that you will not associate aught with Allah. You will not steal, commit fornication, will not kill your children, will not slander women, and will not disobey me in anything good and virtuous. Then whosoever shall remain true to his pledge will have his reward with Allah, and whoever committed an evil and Allah concealed it, his affairs with Allah. He might punish it if he will, or forgive if he will." So they took the pledge on those words. In the report said, "We pledged the Prophet a woman's pledge that it was a time when fighting was disallowed. When they were ready to return to their lands, the Prophet sent with him Musa bin Umar to recite them the Quran, teach them Islam, and instruct them in their religion. He came to a referred to as the Medina reciter. He stayed in Medina after I just finished a chapter. This is what I'm going to start now. Immigration to Medina. The main summary of what I've learned today is Muhammad and his companions were very persecuted for saying that there's only one God. Yo, chat. Yo, chat. Before I begin my next live stream, I'm taking a little bit of a rest. Thank you guys for, I hope you guys are learning something new. Let me see if I missed. Chat. Marine, much love, brother. I'm reading the chat right now. Harris said, Habibi, what is your ancestry? German? Actually, yeah, my ancestry is German, Harris. Part German, part English, part a bunch of other European, Eastern European, all over Europe. And then I'm 90% Himothy Neutron. But I'm a 7th generation Texan, so I consider myself a Texan. But I also consider myself from Africa because all humans, I believe, came from Africa. Hey, you're right, Afet. For anyone who's been watching today, I hope you guys have been learning a lot. I'm gonna take a quick little nap, and I'm just gonna freaking leave this here. And then I'm gonna be back. I want to talk to some Christians on Discord, and I'm gonna do some other stuff. Like I'm gonna show y'all a song I like. We're gonna watch some ex-Muslim convert videos. I'm gonna probably watch a Muslim lantern video, And then I want to watch a video that says Habibi come to Dubai. Habibi. If you guys would like to directly support the stream, you can click the link in my bio or in the description. You can buy me a coffee. I hope you guys are all learning from this stream. I've learned today that about the life of Muhammad, and what he stood for was worshiping one God and teaching others about one God, and him and his boys who told people to do that got really destroyed for doing that by his own family and tribe. There is only one God. There can only be one God. And my name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old and I'm about to take a nap. Hey Siri, set an alarm in 25 minutes. I'm not actually going to be back in 7 minutes, but That felt like hours. Good morning, Vietnam. Hey, DRD, bless you too as well. Harris, Alpha Tia for Grayson. Yes, Harris. Yes. Latif, chill. Thank you, it is what it is. Alright, y'all. I'm going to stream for a few more hours, but I'm taking a little break right now. I'm going to go get some sun. So I'll be back for the next stream, alright? Stay tuned. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 21 years old from Texas. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. Help me improve my stream setup. Help me improve my stream setup, y'all. Much love, everybody. Peace and good night. I'll be back in like 20 minutes max.